You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the f*** are you to tell me what to do? I don't give a you say you disapprove. I'm gonna make my move, I'm gonna make it soon. And I'll do it cause it's what I wanna f***ing do. Cause all these opinions and all these positions, they come in millions. They blocking your vision, but no, you can't listen. That shit is all fiction. Cause you hold the power as long as you're dreaming. There's no way that you make it. And maybe you can fake it, but you're never gonna make it. Oh yeah, you fight.
Hello and welcome to Game Day from the UK, another Miami Heat UK live pre-game streaming show here tonight to preview the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Before we do, of course, let's introduce our cast who are, I'm sure, in good spirits after what's been a bit of a glum time recently, but a big bounce back over the last week or last few days at least. Let's introduce them. Bilal, Mona, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm good. Feeling good about the last couple wins.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to get right into it. It's been a good few days. Ollie Rahimi, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, been a bit of an upturn.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. It has. It's been a very pleasing few days indeed. And Sam with big grin on his face, looking very smug, as you should do, my man. How are you?
I'm good. I missed you guys. It's been a while.
It has been a little while. Yes, it has been a little while. But we've been here. We've been winning games again, guys. And it just shows you that although we never really abide by it, the last few days have been very key in the old mantra of never get too high when you're winning, never get too low when you're losing. But we do, don't we? We get higher, we get lower as and when they come. But guys, for me, the last two games, especially the win against the Bucks, and then obviously a really good win against the Bulls as well. We'll come on to that one in a minute. But before we do, Sam, that Bucks game, I said it after the game, quite high of emotion, but that's the best regular season game, considering all things considered, with Milwaukee with their three big stars playing, Miami very underhand, and the performance throughout, everybody stood up. So that was my favourite ever regular Miami Heat game. What was your thoughts on the game against the Bucks, mate?
Yeah, it was surprising. I'm usually quite optimistic, but I didn't have the Heat winning that game, and yeah, they proved me wrong. I mean, it was the first game where the dreaded, their unbeaten top three had played for a while. And yeah, our deep bench showed up, our deep players showed up, and we proved to the league that we're not just a top-heavy team, and the guys lower in the bottom of the team contributed well to get that win. So yeah.
Definitely. This was it. You see, when you got no Bam, you got no Jimmy, you're going to rely on Cole to be the leader there. But as you say, Bilal, I mean, we've spoke about it quite a lot, and we seem like we're banging the same drum here. But you know, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, they all had big moments in that game, but especially massive shout out to Caleb Martin, a career high 28 points. A couple of blocks in there as well, some highlight moments, some steals. It was the complete game from a guy on a two-way contract. Seems ridiculous. I start thinking after that, and I don't know where his weaknesses lie, Bilal. And I know I'm trying not to go too high on it. I'm trying not to cloud nine this too much, but I struggle to, because he's got a bit of everything. He's so athletic, he's quick, he's fast, he's got good defensive IQ. And he's in his prime, 26, I think, years old. Massive things we've seen from Caleb.
Yeah, I think he's been the surprise of the season for me. I'm literally picking him up. I don't know how no one else picked him up. I don't know how Charlotte let him go. And to pick him up on a two-way deal is unbelievable. And he's been, like you said, he's been fantastic. He's got every attribute. And with the Miami Heat program, with our coaching team, I think he can only improve and he can only get better. And he can be a key rotation player for us in the future.
Yeah, and another, as you say, another feather in the cap for the Miami Heat development program, because he's just come along leaps and bounds. Explosive performance for him, and then unfortunately, Ollie then goes out with health and safety protocols for the game against the Bulls. Let's come on to the Bulls game now quickly, because they will say, and quite rightly so, they've got their own issues. They had their own issues, but they still probably had arguably 3 of the 4 best players on the court there. Only really missing probably DeMar DeRozan as their key starter. Plenty of role players, plenty of bench players out. And I feel for them in that instance. But they still had Zach Vooch, who, is a Heat killer in the past. They still had some Lonzo Ball, etc. And yet the Heat, again, without Bam, without Jimmy, made this easy work in the end. It was another exceptional performance. Again, with no Caleb Martin in that game. But Duncan Robinson, his slump seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah, the Robinson slander is long gone now, and he seems like he's back to his best from a couple of years ago, which is really refreshing to see. And it's come at a really good time, obviously, with Jimmy and Bam being out, and Bam being out for quite a while as well. It was just a good game. As you said, the Bulls weren't really missing any of their key pieces. They were quite light in terms of depth. Obviously, missing so many players in protocols, but I think where the Heat's strengths lie is that they have that quality and depth, as you mentioned, and also it's that sort of Heat mentality of, well, it doesn't matter who we're playing against. Like, we're going to step up, like we prove ourselves, and they did that brilliantly, even without Caleb Martin, who seems to just embody that perfectly. It was a perfect game for basically a second unit team, and really refreshing to see.
Yeah, definitely. And as I say, when, as I said, we see these key players, these big contract players out, to be able to just rely on your entire roster. Nobody let us down that game. And Bilal, I'm going to swing back round to you, because I know, Sam, you missed the game against Chicago.
I got a little input though.
Sorry,
I got a little bit to just add on to what you just said, and just to pretty much piggyback off it. I caught the highlights, and you can't really, for me, I couldn't really say which one player impressed me the most, because there was just so many. From Duncan Robinson, he's had his shooting slumps, especially at home, to bring out that performance. Kyle Lowry, we've pretty much questioned him for a while, and his leadership was pretty much what got the game going, in my opinion. And then Dwayne Dedmon just keeps proving me wrong. I mean, I love him. I personally don't think he should be playing as much minutes, but he's contributing in a really good clip to get like 20 and 12 as well. And then you look further down the stat box and you see KZ Okpala gave you some good minutes. Yurtseven in like 5 minutes gave you like, I think 6 and 5 or something. So yeah, it was just not one player that stood out. Well, there are a few players that did really well, but I personally couldn't tell you who had the best game, because it just seems so good across the board.
Well, you lead me on perfectly there, because that was what I was about to say. That where after that game, again, I tweeted at higher emotional levels, and I said, Duncan Robinson, his highest scoring game, so arguably and probably his best game of the season. I then put Dedmon 20 and 12, his game of the season with a question mark. PJ Tucker, by far, in my opinion, his game of the season. I'm missing somebody. Cole Lowry, I think, as well. I said the same thing. Was that his game of the season? Bilal, as I said, that when you're missing your stars, when everybody can step up like that, I mean, it's big, isn't it, for the team? Because I know this team's going to get shortened as we hit the playoffs, as it always does. But in a COVID-related season, and we could see that come on again in the next few weeks, we could see some ramifications here. But if your 9th, 10th, 11th man can step up and give you that sort of production, that's huge, isn't it? It's season-defining, perhaps.
Yeah, for real, for definitely. Like you're saying, Dwayne Dedmon's a guy we picked up on the street. If he's giving us 20 and 12 for someone that we're just picking up on the roads, then that's fantastic. Same goes to Caleb Martin. Duncan Robinson, again, no one really had high hopes on him, and we picked him up. And these players are giving you everything, including Gabe Vincent. I think that's a player that we missed out. He's been doing really well, especially when him and Kyle are on the court together. They're giving you really productive minutes together on both ends of the court.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Like, Gabe Vincent, and Max Struess, I mean, just the athleticism of him, the speed of him, the fact that he's got that shot as well, and KZ Opala, who has had his critics, and rightly so, even he's now giving you some production. So it's been a really, really good week. Ollie, before we come on to the Cavs game, how good, just how important, even though he doesn't light up the box score, how important is PJ Tucker to this team? Because he's been a phenomenon, hasn't he?
He's the glue for me. Like, I think he fits so perfectly into what he needs to do. We had a couple of years back, we had obviously Jay Crowder, and then it was Trevor Ariza. Jay Crowder was obviously brilliant going into the bubble and stuff, but I think PJ Tucker just does literally everything we need him to do in that role, and he does it perfectly well. Like, he's a good 3-point shooter. He is one of the best one-on-one defenders in the league. He can take the tough assignments like he did against the Bucks, and he took Giannis and really slowed him down. Like, he's so important to this team, and like I said, I think he's just the glue that kind of holds it all together. He's got that experience now. He's obviously won a championship as well. There's just so many parts to that signing that I just love, and I think it's perfect fit.
Yeah, well, 100%. I think it was Christian Hernandez from Miami Heat Beat sort of summed up well. He said he's got to be the fastest Heat lifer that we've ever had, just to come in and just adapt that quickly. I mean, Jimmy Butler might have something to say about that, but I totally echo that. I agree with that. I mean, I just never want him to leave. I think he's 35, 36 years old. He doesn't play like that. He looks like he's got another 3-4 years at this elite level. I hope he stays for a very long time. I love what we get from PJ Tucker. So, as we said, we're in high spirits. We come on now to the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, who not so long ago, only a week or so ago, blew us out. So this is what I mean, how quickly things can change. Sam, in their last 3 games, I think they've won 5 of their last 4, but in their last 3 games, they've blown out each team they've gone through. They beat the Bulls by 23, they beat the Timberwolves by 17, they beat the Kings by 14. I showed them no sort of respect really at the beginning of the season. I had them nowhere near this. Are they a legit playoff contending team now? For me, they are.
Well, if you're looking at how they played up until now, yeah, definitely. I mean, at the very minimum, I'd expect them to be a play-in team, but they've really proved themselves this season, and no one really gave them that sort of high expectations. So they've come out from the start of the season just playing hard. And just thinking back personally to the last game we played, it was embarrassing. I came out of that game just completely disgusted at how we played, but forgetting how well they've come this season. So I think if you think back to the way sort of how, for example, like a couple seasons ago when Duncan Robinson came up and he was like shooting 45% because people weren't like guarding him the way they should be. I think that's how teams are taking the Cavs. They're not really giving them the sort of respect yet, and they're taking advantage of it. So hopefully we see some adaptations today.
Yeah, Bilal, do you think that when you look at this team, they caused Miami some problems. They got a lot of height. They're a very tall team. They're a big team. They're quite fast and athletic as well. They've done this without Sexton as well for a large part of the season and probably for the remainder of this season. I quite often say that no one really bothers me to play in a 7-game season. Not bothers, that's the wrong thing to say. But no one will intimidate or frighten me in a 7-game season. But the Cavs weirdly sort of do, because they've got the minerals to be able to cause Miami some issues. Is that a concern? Do you think if we have a first-round matchup, say, I mean, they're 5th seed at the moment, we're 4th. I don't expect that to where it ends after 82 games. But in a first round, I don't really want the Cavs. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I would actually say out of the lesser, like the lower tiers of the Eastern Conference, that's the team we need to avoid. Like you said, they've got a lot of length, they've got a lot of height, they've got a lot of athleticism. And the way to beat that is with shooting. And I don't think so far to this point we've been consistent with shooting. And our 2 best players are non-shooters. So I think they'll give, especially Bam and Jimmy, a lot of problems. And I think it's definitely a team to avoid unless Spur brings out his magic and we get a chance to actually showcase what we can do against them.
Yeah, I mean, you always like to think that scheming in a 7-game series that Spo would come out on top against maybe anybody in the league. That's another sort of well highlighted point. But I think that a main key to the defeat last time was we shot horrendously. When you come up against big teams, that shooting, as you rightly say, Bilal, is maybe a key to this. Ollie, let's probably fair, isn't it, to say that if we're going to get a win tonight on high confidence, we are shooting a lot better now. Duncan's shooting well, Max Strus is shooting well, Cole Lowry's shooting very well now. That needs to continue tonight, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree with that. Just going back to what you guys were saying about the Cavs and the playoffs, I'm not that worried about them. I'd be more worried about them in regular season because I don't think that their style of play necessarily translates to playoff basketball very well. I don't think they're a very good half court set team. I'm not saying they're bad, of course, but I don't think they have that experience and know-how yet. I think they're brilliant pushing the pace and playing fast, and that's their game. I don't think that would translate brilliantly to the playoffs, but might be wrong. But yeah, tonight I think shooting, like you said, is going to be really important. Hopefully Duncan and Max can carry on. Maybe another hot night from Gabe Vincent, Kyle Lowry. Yeah, we're going to need that because, as I said, their pace is and their length and their height is a real sort of strong point of their game. So to try and nullify that with shooting will be really important.
Yeah, and we're probably going to get absolutely roasted here by KZ Apollo for leaving him out of the hot shooting streak because he hit two in a row, which is more than he's done all season in I think back-to-back possessions. So hats off to KZ Apollo. Sam, just before we come on to some predictions, another thing that sort of jumps out at me, Garland here, Darius Garland. 19 points a game, 7.5 assists a game, 3 boards a game. This is his second season, I believe. A candidate to rival Tyler Hero for MIP, perhaps?
Ooh. I think
I like his game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's really stepped up this year, but I think the field is really clear. I think Tyler Hero is miles ahead of anyone at this point, and it'll take something drastic for someone to catch up with him.
Yeah, I think Tyler's on-court sort of production, it's not just about the box score, because the box score is pretty close. When you put them two comparisons together, they're actually very close to scores. Tyler's just edging it. But yeah, I think the on-court presence and maybe the clutch moments is where Tyler's being remembered a bit more. Bilal, another one more thing as well. When I go through the last game, which was a win against the Kings, 8 players Cleveland had in double-digit figures. The game before that against the Timberwolves, 7 against the Bulls. So they're a threat, again, a scoring threat amongst all the way down the board, which sometimes we've seen that with the Heat, that it doesn't necessarily mean to be like a star player. Everybody can chip in and do their bit. Then that's a bit of a recipe for danger, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like you've got an all-star coming off the bench in Kevin Love. I think he's still coming off the bench, but
yeah,
the last time we played, he just came and rained like 4 or 5 threes in a row against us. So you've got that threat. You've got also Ricky Rubio, who's a proven veteran in the league. He's coming off the bench. So yeah, like I said, Cavs are big. They'll cause us problems.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be interesting now as we go around with some predictions because, you know, they're on good form. The Heat are on sketchy form, but we seem like maybe we've turned the corner. Cleveland are 7-7, I think, at home. Heat are 8-7 on the road. So this is really, really tight. The bookies actually have the Cleveland on a minus 5.5 point spread, so they're backing them as slight favourites at home. I don't disagree with it. Let's go round and see what you think. Ollie, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I'd probably agree that the Cavs are slight favourites, but I'm a Miami Heat fan, so Heat by 5.
Heat by 5, good stuff. Sam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going to go Heat win. Not that optimistic though. I'd say single digits Heat by 2, and it's all going to be about defense today.
Yep, good point. Bilal?
Yeah, I'm going Heat by 4. You see, when Spo said last week when he came out against the Grizzlies, and he said he has to do better, and he's proven that with 2 straight wins, and I think we're going to keep going. Yeah, I'm going Heat by 4.
That's a good thing to highlight. Yeah, Spo did put some self-criticism on in a bit of spotlight, maybe taking the heat off the players a little bit. But yeah, that's a good point to highlight. Guys, I think that, you know, no Jimmy, no Bam against the Bucks, the Bulls. I thought that was both right off L's, maybe just take them, get on with the season and maybe start from here. But 2 huge performances, which means we go to Cleveland with a ton of confidence, but I am still nervous about this. I was going to go with a Cleveland narrow win, but I can't now that all you three of you have gone for a Heat win. I can't be the only one to let you down. So I'm going to change tactics. I went big and said when you all said that the Bucks were going to win, I said the Heat was going to win by double digits. We did against the Bucks. So I'm going to follow suit, and I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to say a small 1 point Heat's victory to complete the sweep across the board there. So we'll see how we get on. It is going to be a really exciting game. I'm really looking forward to this. It's a midnight tip tonight, so a little bit earlier for us. So follow us at the Miami Heat UK for in-game comms. Yeah, really looking forward to it. Let's see if we can continue this form. Should be a good one. Please follow us at Miami Heat UK. Remember to subscribe to the channel. We'll be back. I looked this up for once, guys. We will be back on Wednesday night against the Sixers. So come and join us for that. But until then, enjoy the game. Let's go Heat.